Hello and welcome to the channel. Well, I'm going to be reviewing these figures, well, just Black Adam, but I wanted to bring them all out. This is the Black Adam wave that came out when the movie came out. And I'll come to the smaller platform first. And there you've got Hawkman and Atom Smasher. Now Hawkman, I've had him on a flight stand, and he looks a lot better on a flight stand than obviously in this position, but I thought I'd put him on the platform like this because this is how he's displayed in my collection, and I like this figure. And I did like him in the movie. I thought he had a very Captain America type approach to his battles. He wouldn't quit no matter how many times you knocked him down. But I'm going to show you Atom Smasher. I haven't done much on this guy, but I do like him. And all the figures you'll see today, I did get them at a reduced price, except for one of them, which you'll see later. But that's the two of them on the smaller platform. And I'm going to come up to my favourite character in the Black Adam film, Dr. Fate, played by Pierce Brosnan, who is once a James Bond figure, or played the James Bond character. But I do like him, and I never get tired of posing him on the flight stand. And then let's come over to this character, Cyclone. Now, this character, Cyclone and Atom Smasher, basically were what I call side characters, but they did good roles. I enjoyed them. But as I've said in the past on the channel, this figure was my cheapest McFarlane's purchase at $4.99. And I do like her. I posed her without the cyclone effects, which you can see down there, but she looks obviously better when she's got those cyclone effects by her feet. So I'm going to pan back now on this angle, because I do like the way I've posed them out for this shot. But what I'm going to be doing, because I'm going to concentrate mainly on Black Adam, I'll come in close just to give you that angle. I'm going to pose him out with a mystery figure, which you'll soon recognise once I get him on camera. And I'll show him, Black Adam, in some combat poses against the mystery figure you're about to see. So let's get on with that review. Oh, one more thing. Just want to show you the box there that the Black Adam figure came in. I collect all my boxes, I keep them. I'll just show you the DVD, because I have a huge DVD collection. All of the MCU and DC films I've got, bar a few, and I've got other DVDs, but I'm not going to go into that. But that's the shot I'm going to leave you on, and I'll start Black Adam off combating against the mystery figure, which you're about to see. So here he is, Henry Cavill Superman versus Dwayne Johnson, or The Rock, Black Adam. And as you know, at the end of the Black Adam film, Amanda Waller appears to Black Adam and says that someone will be coming to see you, and he says, "Send them all." And then Superman turns up, played by Henry Cavill, and says, "We need to talk." So what you're going to see in the next couple of minutes in this review is what if they actually had a fight. And that's what you're going to see in this review. So I'll start off with the first pose of them in combat. So I've come up with a very simple one. And because I normally have my Henry Cavill Superman posed out with the Justice League, I've never put them together like this, these two figures. But it's an idea for the future. But what would probably happen, if I ever pick up a Black Adam hooded version, where he's in the cape and the cloak, I'll probably put that figure with this posing of these two combating each other, and keep my Black Adam without the cloak separate. But I'm all about posing on my channel and posing my figures in my displays, and if you've tuned into the channel you would have seen that. So that's the first one, and I've taken off the energy effects, which is less fiddly. I have posed them a few times fighting Superman with the energy effects, but I might do that later. So let's move on with the next one. So here's your next one. Well, I thought about the energy effects and I thought I'd stick one on to get this effect. Superman is blocking the lightning there of Black Adam. And that's a nice angle to see that at. I'll come around to the other side. Now I've recently watched the new Superman film again, which is in my collection, with David Corenswet, and I don't know, I'm not knocking the actor, he did his best with the story that was given to him, but for me, Henry Cavill is the most recent best Superman they've done, simply because I thought he had a better presence on screen, plus they showed more elements to him where you could see how dark Superman could get. And I'm hoping one day he will come back under the guidance of Zack Snyder and do the role again, but in a film called Kingdom Come. I wouldn't mind seeing him in that version of the film where Henry Cavill is older and comes back in the storyline for Kingdom Come. But that's my fairy tale. So let's bring on the next one. So I've squared Superman on more so you can get a better shot of this. And with me, I'm not afraid to really manipulate the flight stands they're on, even if it looks weird when they're on their own like this. But if you put it with that figure, it seems to work. And so far on this review, you're seeing Black Adam getting the best of Superman. But we will change the tables around soon enough. Getting back to Henry Cavill, as I said before, I liked him as Superman. I thought he was the most effective and best Superman of the modern times. Christopher Reeve being my favourite. But Supergirl's coming out soon, which features Lobo, a figure I reviewed a couple of weeks ago. And hopefully that's going to be slightly better than the Superman film, because I think with Jason Momoa in it, from the trailers, I think it looks overall a better movie, but I could be wrong. But I've also seen, for Henry Cavill, getting back to him, I think they've released the Wolverine, in which he appeared in Deadpool and Wolverine. So I might pick that figure up and get Deadpool back. Okay, let's move it on. So now things are changing in terms of this battle. I'm going to get Superman giving out as good as he gets. And this is him approaching Black Adam at kind of super speed to deliver a punch. And I love Henry Cavill because I'm a moulded cape guy. I do like the sculpted capes, I'm not going to lie. I'll give you my reasons why, but every now and again you will get a few figures in my collection with the wide capes, and I like the fact that he has a wide cape because it might be a bit fiddly, but you can get more dynamic poses like this. I'll come around the other side, give you that shot. I quite like the way that looks. So we're going to see Superman now starting to get the better of Black Adam. Well, that's in my imaginary scenario. Okay. So now Superman is starting to fight back, and with those Superman blows he can be effective. And I know that they were talking about the fact that they don't like, well, it's not that they don't like, they kind of preferred him not to have the laser vision sculpt, but I prefer this. This is different from the standard. And if you wanted to, you could pick up another figure of Henry Cavill Superman without the laser vision effect and stick that head on if you wanted to, but I'm quite happy to keep him in this way because this is the way he came in the box. And me being a purist, I don't like to tamper with something that came off the factory floor. But if you want to custom these things, you can. It's just not something I tend to do if I can avoid it. But what I'm going to show you is part of the posing when you're posing figures on flight stands is trying to get the weight and balance right. And what I've done is try to use one platform on top of another at the base to hold them both in place. But if you have a problem with that, I'm just going to pause it quickly and show you what you can do to remedy any sort of things tipping over. And as I've said, if you have any issues about keeping the flight stand secure, you can just weight it with any prop. This prop is actually from the Grand Canyon, given to me many years ago by my friend Amy, and that will stop these things tipping over. Changed out the dynamics slightly, flared out the cape of Superman, and I've changed Black Adam's pose, and he's really feeling those punches. Let's get another angle shot. Quite like that. Okay, so we'll do a couple of more before we wind it up. So this one is tricky. It might topple over, but it's all about having fun and trying things out. It's not the pose I wanted to show you guys. I'm going to try and get that after this, but the problem wasn't actually Black Adam there, because you can actually put the clamps on his legs so you can get him at an angle like that. It was actually Henry Cavill. I'm going to try and get that pose better because this is not the pose I intended. And hopefully when you see the next bit, it will be the pose I intended. But it's not a bad pose. I'll give it a 4 out of 10. Let's try this again. It's all about the balance, and it's things like where he's clamped there and hoping that the joints around there are tight on the actual flight stand to stop it toppling over. But it's in the ballpark, so let's go for it. See if I can get that pose I want. You know what, I have to settle for sometimes choosing the alternative, and I essentially wanted to get Superman there doing a kind of kick, more like a martial arts kick, but this isn't a martial arts kick, but a kick anyway is there in the pose. And I wanted to do it with Black Adam on the flight stand, but he wasn't playing ball. And I know I could get it, but it's going to take too long to fiddle around with it, so I've had to put him on the platform and do it like this. But I'm liking the way these two look together. I think it's going to be something in the future that I'll do in one of my display cabinets. But as from next year, I know that Todd McFarlane has got a load of figures he's still going to release, even though he's lost the license. And some of them I'm going to pick up. One of them being Christopher Reeve Superman, but in his Clark Kent look, which I'm looking forward to. But as from next year, I will pick up the odd McFarlane's figure. But I'm going to start collecting a few in-art figures and get some dioramas made by a guy my friend introduced me to. Check out Ray Ray's collection and subscribe. So that will be all happening next year. Let's see if I can ramp it up a little bit. So I've quite like this one, and what I'll often do actually is do things like this. You see, if you're going to use a flight stand, try and work out what sort of things you can do like this, which is to have him on this side. Now on its own it doesn't look that good, but obviously when you bring Superman into the equation, it kind of makes sense. Well, it does to me. And I love doing stuff like this. I will go on for hours watching TV, trying out new ideas, and if I think there's anything relevant that I really like, I'll put it on camera. See, that's the way you would normally use that flight stand, or you can put it around the waist, but I tend to do it like that. But you can also do that. So I'm going to keep this basic pose, but just try something else in terms of Henry Cavill Superman's pose. So let's just have a look at that. So yeah, I've changed out Henry Cavill, and I've changed out The Rock, aka Black Adam. Now what I've tried to do here is really flare out that cape and get him into a pose where he's just about to release his laser vision. And Black Adam has sensed that and has raised his hands to try and avoid too much damage. I'm just trying to get some decent angles. Let's get a bird's eye. It's not too bad. I could go on forever, but I've got to do a couple more because they're in my head, just to see that on camera. Yeah, I've got a couple of more and then we'll call it a day. So I wanted to stay with the theme, but I've changed out Black Adam in an upright position. Let's get an over the shoulder shot. Not too bad. And I'll come around to the side so you can see what that looks like. That's not too bad either. So throughout this review, as I always do, I try and show articulation and posability, and on the whole it's gone quite smoothly. I've had the hardest part with Henry Cavill, because with Superman, with that wired cape cloak, getting tongue-tied, you have to kind of get that pose to match what the cloak's doing, or the cape, which I've tried to do. I'm going to try one more, and that will be the last one, then I'll end this review. Okay. So this one has been sitting in my head for a while, and I didn't know if it would look any good, but I'm going to get it on camera because I need to see the dynamics of it. And let's go around over the shoulder of Superman. And the Black Adam figure is in his standard energy effects pose. I've done that pose before, but this is a Superman pose I wanted to try. I was going to do this sort of pose with my Adam West Batman figure, and this is the pose I'm talking about, in which he's using his cape to protect him from those energy effects. And I might now be tempted to go and try those poses like this on my Adam West Batman. But it's an idea, you know, capes are good for creating the wind effect on them, the caped wired cloaks, if that sounds right on camera. You know what I mean. But if you want to use it like this, like a defense mode pose, which is what I tried to do there with Superman, you can. So I'm just showing you the variations of things you can do with your figures. You've probably done a few of these yourself, but my channel is all about posing figures, trying to bring the best out of them. And now I'll bring you up one more, and then I'll finish with a standard poster pose, as I call it. So I quite like this one. Let's take it back a little bit further. Yeah, I like the idea of the Superman trying to protect himself with his cape. I'll come around this side first. And I quite like that. Let's come in close on Black Adam. I'll put his energy effects on, as you can obviously see. That's not bad. Let's come around the other side and show you what that looks like. Let's get a close-up of Superman there. That's not bad at all. Let's get a real close-up. I do like that. I'm really considering now going back to my Adam West Batman figure and get him to do things like this. I've reviewed him, and thank you for your views. But I want to hopefully redo Batman again, Adam West Batman, when they release Robin, played by Burt Ward. So let's end this review with a poster pose of these two figures that you've been seeing today. So this is all the guys you've seen today, but for the most part you've been watching Black Adam fighting Superman, and it was always my imaginary scenario that if they'd have carried on with the Zack Snyder Justice League storyline and then had him meet Black Adam, they have a fight and then decide to team up together as the Justice Society, that they come in together to fight outside elements coming in to invade Earth. And that's Superman in his final pose. He's been a bit fiddly today, but overall I'm very pleased with the way he looks on camera fighting Black Adam. And there's one more look at my favourite character in the Black Adam movie, Dr. Fate, with his energy effects on. And they didn't come with him, I got them off another figure. But he looks good with any energy effects. And then of course Cyclone, nice figure, especially when at the time these figures retailed at 25 quid and I got her for £4.99. So you can't complain at that. And then we'll come over to the other side to see Black Adam in his final pose for this review. He won't be in this pose when I put him back in my display, but this is merely for filming purposes. And then there's Hawkman alongside Atom. Nice little figure this. Quite simplistic, but it does work. And I'll pull back now so you can see them all together. And hopefully you've enjoyed what you've seen. And I'll say thanks for watching the channel, and I'll see you again next time.